All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, honors and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All right, this is the brother Tawab Akha from GMS Los Angeles / Inland Empire, come back with another video in the spirit. And once again, Tawadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, for opening my eyes to his truth. Allow me to wake up another day, putting the spirit on me to do another lesson in hopes to edifying the hopeful elect. Okay, so in this video, what I want to go into is curse is the man that trusteth in man. And I'm basing this off of yesterday at camp. The spirit was kind of going in on Jake, putting their trust in this devil, dealing with this whole situation, dealing with those jabs that happened during the whole COVID scamdemic. You got a lot of our people that's experiencing all sorts of issues, health issues, after the fact that they went and got those jabs, okay, those vaccines, and you got a lot of people dropping dead. You got a lot of people that are making complaints that they haven't been the same since they took those vaccines, and you got Dr. Fauci. Okay, that's pleading the fifth, and he's already been pardoned. He's already received immunity, so he can't be brought up on charges, for the all the damage that these vaccines that these people have received, all the damage that they received from those vaccines. He's not going to be held responsible, even though he was pushing that whole bullshit, telling y'all to, trust the science, telling y'all that y'all need to get those jabs, telling you to think about your loved ones, think about your think about your job, all the different things. They basically exploited your fear. They put that which you had people dying from that shit, but a lot of people that was dying from that had pre-existing conditions. So the people that died were already kind of fucked up anyway. People that have strong immune systems, people that have been taking care of their health, that been, got a decent diet, people that are, they work out, they active, those people, for the most part, recovered, but the people that were, that were very sickly, that had all kind of ailments before that shit came to pass, they got, that whole thing came and pretty much finished them off. Okay, but anyway, getting back to the point of me doing this video is that's what happens when you Jakes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans put your trust in the oppressor, the so-called white man. Okay, and whenever has this so-called white man, had your health and your well-being as his number one priority? When? Okay, when has Esau ever had any good intentions towards our people, the so-called white man? This man's, you look at this man's history, his whole history towards our people is nothing but rape, rob, and murder, deception. Okay, so you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you want to remain stuck on stupid that's on you. Okay, you can't say you haven't been warned. Okay, because the Lord has his prophets out here warning you, telling you who the enemy is. Okay, not just telling you, but showing you the evidence. You know, brothers bring out different articles. Brothers bring out certain documents. You know, certain accounts from different books showing evidence of this man's hatred towards our people. You know, but you know, a lot of our people, the Lord have blinded the majority of our people, so they're going to remain stubborn. They're going to remain rebellious until this place is destroyed. You know, but we have to tell them anyway. You know, so with all that being said, I'm gonna get right into it, and I pray this is edifying. So the first scripture I'm gonna start with is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit." You see, you don't cover with the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay, you cover the spirit of the so-called white man. Wherever Esau says, you run with it. Okay, you believe it. When I say Esau, I'm referring to the so-called white man. You know, okay? When this so-called white man gets on TV with his suit and tie, with his fucking glasses, okay, and he speaks in that soft-spoken voice, okay, you believe every fucking word this man says, okay, even though you know this man's history towards us has never been on the up and up. It's never been just. We never received justice from this man. We never received equality from so-called equality, which ain't no such thing as being equal with this man. He's not Esau. He's really not equal to us, man. We're the when you read Deuteronomy the 7th chapter, it tells you that the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are above all nations. Okay, so that equality shit is bullshit. But you know, they like to push that narrative, or you know, if you're an American, Americans all have equality. American all have equal rights, and that's bullshit. Okay. But that anyway, that's a covering. That's not a covering of the Lord. Okay, so that's why you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know, you're a prey. Okay, because you refuse to return back to your heritage, this Bible, because this Bible is a guide. This Bible is going to help you navigate, you know, in this man's system, because that's what us Star Wars Apostles, L's on down here, you know, at Great Millstone, right? That's how we navigate in this world, you know, by applying the scriptures, applying wisdom, you know, these instructions that are written. Okay, because you ain't gonna see us out here causing no uproar, causing no you know, sedition. All right. Now you're gonna see us out here teaching and bringing the scriptures out, you know, and that's gonna evoke emotions, but we're not gonna be out there, you know, doing things that's gonna bring a negative light to the gospel, to this truth. You know, we're gonna speak what the Lord commanded us to speak. We're gonna speak the words that are written within in this book and give the proper understanding. Okay, whether you people want to accept it or not. All right, let me read it again. Back in Isaiah 30 and 1, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." Okay, and that's the majority of our people. They're engulfed in sin. Okay, sin is all they, you know, commit. Okay, So y'all, by going out there taking those jabs, okay, you compromise your own health. You compromise your own well-being just because this motherfucker said, if you don't get this shot, you're gonna you can possibly die, or you can possibly cause someone else to die, or you can't work at these certain jobs if you don't get that if you don't show proof that you've been vaccinated. Okay, so out of fear, the fear of men, okay, a lot of you took those jabs, and now you're starting to see that the people that didn't, the people that had their own brain, the people that actually trusted, in the Lord, people that actually trusted in, having common sense. All right, because you had people that that were not necessarily in the truth, but they had some kind of sense to know that that shit was bullshit. The whole explanation of how they came up with those vaccines, shit wasn't mathing, man. Shit wasn't adding up. But yeah, that's the consequences of trusting your enemy, and it tells us in the Apocrypha, man, never trust thy enemy. All right, it says, second verse, it says, "They walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh." Right, you didn't go to the Lord to strengthen yourself. You just gonna keep running to the white man, running to this devil for every goddamn thing. Now the scriptures do tell us, that we will have to go to our enemies for the one of all things, right? Because we are under the curses in this society. We don't, we're not in a righteous setup. All right, we're still in captivity. All right, but then there's things where, like for example, the MOTB. There's coming a time where Esau is going to make it mandatory for people that receive those RFID chips, okay, whether it's in the hand or the forehead. All right. Now we know, according to the scriptures, that those that take that MOTB, the mark of the beast, they're going to be destroyed. Okay, so when Esau presents that, we're not supposed to take that chip. Okay, that's why these scriptures are written. Because the problem with you so-called Negroes, like Latinos and Native Americans, okay, you think just because you live in this society, you live in this current world, how this world is set up, you're supposed to just go along with every goddamn thing. And that's not, the Lord is not dealing with that, man. Okay? Now, of course, certain, we got to be wise how we move out here. But when it comes to certain things that's going to compromise your soul, your integrity, compromise your being, compromise your relationship towards the Lord, those things shouldn't be compromised, man. Those things, it shouldn't be up for question, man. It shouldn't be a doubt in your mind, when it comes to certain things, especially if it's going to defy your God, man. If it's going to, go against your God, But you see, a lot of our people, they don't have that mentality, man. Okay, and that's why we got to be, us that's in this faith, we gotta be extremely grateful and thankful, and have that constant fear that the Lord, don't take that spirit off of us, man. Don't take His Holy Spirit from us, man, because that's that's how we're able to maintain here. You know, it's all through the Holy Spirit. All right. So the majority of our people, they're through, man. You know, they're gonna be through when that time comes. All right, it says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. You see that? They trust in the shadow of Egypt. They think this whole setup here in America, you know, they think everything, you know, that Esau says, everything that the government puts out there is for their best interest, and it's going to be to their fault. Okay, because when all these calamities come upon you, Jakes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, we're not going to feel bad for you. Okay, we're not going to feel no pity for you because we told you, man, and you chose not to listen. All right. Matter of fact, hold on, bear with me 1 second. This is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord." You see that? So when you trust in man, okay, your heart is departed from the Lord. Yo, talking about your mind. Okay? These words aren't going to resonate with you. Faith is not going to resonate with you if you always putting your trust in man. You know, that's why it's important having a strong foundation in this word. Okay, because we can always trust the word of the Lord to be true. You know, that's why it's written, "Let the Most High be true and every man a liar." Okay, if anybody's not speaking according to the words of the Lord, and it's a lie, man. Okay, period, point blank. You know, so like I said, man, you Jakes, ain't no excuse, man. Ain't no excuse for you to be still, you know, following and taking heed to the words of this so-called white man. Okay, especially with his track record, man. All right. All right, this is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 19. It says, "Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint." You see that? So you putting your confidence in an unfaithful man. This so-called white man, he's an unfaithful man. Esau, when you read Hebrews the 12th chapter, it speaks about Esau being a fornicator, man. You know, it speaks about him being a profane a person. He's profane, you know, and he was promised no mercy, man. You know, because that's how wicked this motherfucker is. He is the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. Okay. So you put your trust in this motherfucker. Like it says, it's like a broken tooth in the foot out of joint. It's painful, and that's where now the majority of y'all that took those jabs, you're experiencing pain. Okay, you're experiencing, you know, the consequences of putting your trust in this serpent, this damn devil, man. All right. So, like I said, man, we don't feel sorry for those of you that are receiving that punishment, man. Okay, because we try to warn you. Even we got family members that took the jab and shit like that, man. You know, and we told them, we warned them. You know, Jake hard-headed. Jake going to be simple. So Jake gonna find out, man. You know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, just real quick to the point. Like I said, I pray this is edifying to you sincere brothers, as well as you few sisters out there. Stay strong, keep fighting. We almost out of here. So with that, I'm gonna give all glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, the honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, honors and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing his word, true sincerity. Shalom.